two of those guys are on have IEPs. So just the amount, and I think what people don't understand is like there's so many people complaining about this online schooling, which is so tough for a general education student. Now our kids are expected to do some of the general education stuff and then all these other things to meet their IEPs. And it's all just too much. I looked up right before this, I literally opened up our district's website and said, how many more days do we have of distance learning until the end of school? Because I just don't know how many more weeks I have in me. And we have exactly, it was something like 21 days. I was like, is that last day a half day?
So,
Memorial Day off.
do we have Memorial? Well, I'm sure we do, right?
I will be taking Memorial Day off and eating.
I believe more Memorial Day is a day off. So
that's as fancy as I get now. That's going to be our celebration. We're going to eat a hot dog, even though my kids won't eat them. They're like, "What is that? Why is it shaped like?"
Mine will eat them as long as they're not cooked on the grill, because then they're yucky and they're black.
Then they're burnt.
They have marks on them. Oh, I love people that understand me.
Yeah. My
so
kids
we cook hamburgers on the grill, but hot dogs get boiled in the house.
Oh, how funny. Yeah. Because, well, my parents used to just throw them in the microwave. Once we got a microwave, that was like a huge deal. Like you could just wrap it in a paper towel in the bun and throw it in there you just had to hit the one button. And so that's my kids, like my one kid who'll eat a hot dog. Everybody else acts like they're like poison. And I'm like, guys, they're so delicious. Like throw them on the grill. They're so good. And they're like, wow, they're burnt. Last night we literally caught our grill on fire because we weren't paying attention.
Oh no.
And I also caught the stove on fire last night. It was not a good night of focus or I was going to talk about today. We're going to talk, what were we going to talk, are we able to get on live?
I'm trying.
I don't know if we're going to.
But talk about what we're going to talk about today.
So we were going to talk today about like self-care in this COVID closure because I don't know how to do it, it turns out. The only self-care that I had prior to this, I determined was like, I can't even tell you last time I got a pedicure. I'm so bad at spending any time on myself because I have 4 kids and those 4 kids need things more than I need a pedicure. So I have a really hard time going and doing those things. But I always got one right before we went to Cape Cod in August. We go every year for a week. So that was my last pedicure, and it'll probably be my next pedicure the week before we go to Cape Cod, whenever we do. And so I was trying to think, we were talking about self-care, and all these people have such good ideas. And my idea of self-care used to be just running to Target by myself and walking around and buying things I didn't necessarily need, but I think I wanted from the dollar section. And for some reason, that kind of stuff made me really happy. And it turned out I was just buying things for my kids anyway. And then my other one was walking around Home Goods, which it seems like such a silly thing now. But when Milo was diagnosed with autism, I was like walking, he was 2 years old. And for me, at the end of the day, because he was such a hard 2-year-old, he has a twin sister. So it was just, all of it was too much. There were all these people in my house for birth to 3 now. And I felt like my house always had to be neat. By the end of birth to 3, I was like, hey, can you guys step over the pile of Cheerios? But like at the beginning, I was like, all right, my house has to be clean. So I was really stressed. So Pete would come home and I would go to Home Goods, and my way of like debriefing or self-care was to go walk around Home Goods and look for this one thing. It's called Ray Dunn. And I would go and I would look for a piece of Ray Dunn. And now my collection of Ray Dunn is so ridiculous. And I haven't shopped for Ray Dunn since that year. But it was like those 3 months after he was diagnosed. That was like what I did for self-care. So I was trying to think the other day. I was talking to Leona yesterday from the car, which is the first time I've been by myself since March 12th. I haven't gone to any stores. My husband does the grocery shopping because he has to go to work sometimes. And I just realized after we left that there is no self-care happening. So I wanted to talk to Leona, see what you have, any ideas for self-care, because we'd love to hear about self-care and the possibility of me doing it. Obviously, very low maintenance self-care, I think. But I think it's really important because we really give everything to our kids when we're in our normal circumstances. So I think this COVID closure has just made it even harder to figure out self-care for ourselves, or even like a minute to ourselves where nobody's banging on the door or asking for a snack or asking what's for dinner.
Yeah, and I think that's why I end up staying up so late, because the only time I do get is after the kids go to bed. So here I am staying up till 11:30 just to have that time, quiet time to myself, and then I kick myself the next morning when I can't get up.
Yeah. Have your kids changed their sleep patterns at all? Like my kids are going to sleep later, but they're sleeping a little bit later too.
Yeah.
But it also kind of makes that nighttime, which was so important. And I would watch silly shows. Like I can't tell you what Netflix shows I've been watching. I've been watching Schitt's Creek, a lot of Schitt's Creek, a lot of Dead to Me. Like all the things that everybody's kind of watching.
Oh, there's a new season of that out, I heard.
I know. I was a little stressed about it. But yeah,
Well,
so all these things. Yeah.
Place in the car yesterday. I saw something that was like the new moms. There's now. It was like I think it might have been on the news, but it was like mom aimlessly with the stereos blasting, and it was like it's the new phase, and I'm like, no, we're self-caring. That's what the car is. That car ride is. I know that yesterday after talking to you, I laughed because I was like, I need to get outside. And I was willing to do whatever it takes. Like, are we out of milk? I felt like a teenager again. Like, I remember when I first got my driver's license, I was like dumping milk down the drain because I wanted to drive the car.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I go do? There's like a reason to get away that nobody else wants to come with me.
Yeah. And I was also, when I was driving around, I was like driving by stores that I knew were open. Like, do we need to run to Trader Joe's? I haven't gone there in 8 weeks. Maybe we need their version of veggie sticks as opposed to the ones from BJ's. But I was like, nah, it's like too much work. Then I'm gonna go home and have to change my clothes and take a shower because I'm a little germaphobe prior to this. So this has just made me even more of a germaphobe. So I might never leave my house again.
Okay, but you're not alone there because like I go to so I have my routine. Like I go to certain stores on Thursday, certain stores on Friday, and then Saturday morning. And after each one, I come home. Well, Thursday and Friday I'm working, so it's after work. But Saturday morning it will be like right when I wake up, and then I come home and take my shower. I'm like, how weird is this guy? And that my shower used to be before I went out. No, it's after I go out to get all the germs off. But I will say though, going to the store is not self-care. Even though we're getting away from the family, it's so stressful in the stores nowadays. We got to wait in line, and people are arguing. It's like Black Friday with half of the amount of people. It's not a lot of fun. So I don't consider that. I come home and it's like, here's the kids. And it's like, no. I don't want them yet. I'm not ready.
Yeah, I just need a minute. Yeah, I don't know. And then part of me also gets so, like my husband works in an office where everybody's working from home, but he goes in about once a week. And that day that he goes in once a week, I am so jealous if he gets to go be somewhere by himself, even though he has to like put real pants on and like not a Star Wars t-shirt. I'm still so jealous that he gets to go somewhere and he's in the office all by himself. So he's like social distancing king because he knows I'm crazy. But it's definitely this like jealousy of things that I never would have been jealous of. Like, I don't want to go to his office. I don't want to. So I have to think of simple ways to just kind of feel like myself, even when I'm surrounded by all the responsibilities. Because at the same time, so even after you go to bed, even after the kids are in bed, what I do is I look around and think all the things I didn't get done. And so then I start doing some of those, but I put TV on in the background. So then I'm technically watching TV. So I have to literally practice forcing myself to do nothing and forcing myself to go and crochet a little bit, because I'm like an old lady who crochets all the time. Or putting on one of those face masks that I have in the back of my drawer in the bathroom that I've never used, but I bought thinking I would. Like, I have to schedule some time for me to be able to just be by myself. And I think it's really important, you know, for people who have partners at home to be able to ask for that time too. I'm really, really bad at asking for it. Currently, my husband has all the kids on a bike ride, or at least he's going to after, you know, which is great. He tries to give me about an hour a day in the house. But again, I spend that time loading the dishwasher, folding the clothes, changing beds, making beds if they've never gotten made that day, putting the 1,000 snack bowls that I found around the house. How nobody reuses anything anymore. Like, I don't get it. Every cup from IKEA that we have is all just in a pile next to the sink now. It's just bad. And I don't know how to fix it.
But that's what we have to do, though. We use some time, right? You know, and I have teenagers. It's no better. Like, I literally the other day was like, "There's no silverware left in the drawer. I don't understand." They're like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Did you throw it away? Like, where is all the silverware?" And they cleaned the room. And when I got the room clean, my silverware drawer is now loaded. So it apparently was all in the room. Megan, thank you for joining us.
Megan.
You know, I have to say, though, we have to give ourselves, like, we have to give ourselves the permission that it's okay. On Mother's Day, I always get a book. I like Jane Patterson's Women's Mystery, whatever, and or Murder Mystery series, and it comes out every Mother's Day. This year, I think it was like, or before Mother's Day, but it's like the 20th book. And I had to like make myself sit down to start reading. And now I'm like into the book and I'm all happy that I'm reading it. But I feel guilty because I'm like, you know, I should do this, or I should do this, or I should do this, or there's 15 emails from the kids' teachers, and
I can't take the emails.
Right, you know, I mean, and my last email to my son's, I hope she doesn't see this, my last email to my son's case manager yesterday was, "I give up," all in capital letters, because he's not doing the work. I don't know what he's doing. I set the timer. He sits there. He looks at me. He waves at me. "Hi, Mom." And I said, "Great. How much work has he gotten done?" He's done 1 minute this week.
It's so typical. Yeah.
So, you know, but so then I'm frustrated and I feel like a failure and I don't know why we're not doing this. And then I spend that entire time trying to figure out planning, right? Planning tomorrow, planning the snacks. So they're not eating
about it
24/7.
Yeah. Well, we were such planners before. Moms plan. When, like, in the end, moms run the world, whether we want to talk about it or not. But like, without moms, I mean, nobody would know where to go or what they're supposed to be doing or how to eat a balanced diet. Not that that's happened at all since quarantine. There's no balance. There's Pringles chips every day, like survival of the fittest, or the no longer fittest, I guess we could say. But there was so much guilt aligned with parenting prior to COVID closures that now I feel like it's that plus the guilt of keeping our kids happier, mentally more stable, figuring out how to be all of our kids' professionals that they get at school as well, trying to figure out how to do that, and everything else we were doing prior to that. And then for us moms who work from home as well, like we always worked from home. I was very lucky in the sense that being a parent consultant, I live in Orange, so it's far from Niantic. So I'm able to work from home, and I have for a long time. But doing it with all 4 people home needing me has been its own challenge. So I think the amount of guilt that we have is just insane. I think we also have to kind of just let it go, but it's much easier said than done. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you, Leona.
Sorry, I muted myself because I don't know what's going on around me. So well, I've had some interesting things on camera. He's wandering aimlessly at the moment. Um, and my oldest is practicing for, we talk about all this and we definitely focus on what the kids are going through in our many calls. My son is currently recording Prompt and Circumstance, his version or his piece of it for our virtual graduation. And I've been crying every time. So I'm like, muting it because it's really sad to listen to all this stuff that's going to happen virtually, but at the same time listen to the great opportunities like these kids have to play it and to participate and to give. And anyway, what I was going to say is Mary or Megan, and I posted on Facebook if anybody has anything they'd love to share with us. We just had Mother's Day. Did anybody do anything special? Did they get a little time? What did it look like? Because it was quarantine Mother's Day, so that means messy kitchens, and there was no restaurants really to go to get away from the dishes.
Yeah, my husband actually took the kids. I'd made masks for my brothers and stuff, so my husband took the kids on a ride down to Haddam to my brother's house to go drop masks off, and they ended up hanging out social distancing down there for like most of the day. So it got them out of the house and it gave me time to myself.
Yay!
That's nice. Amazing.
I know we have to pat ourselves on the back. Congratulations for doing it and smiling and not feeling bad about it.
Yeah. Mary, did you get to do something actually for yourself in that time, or did you sit and look at all the things you had to do?
I actually was I did masks, I sewed masks, but sewing is honestly something that relaxes me. So it was nice to be able to do it without the kids bothering me.
Mm-hmm. So, or wondering where that straight pin went. That's what I always wonder. Yeah. I was like, ooh, I'm going to find that in somebody's, leg tomorrow. Yeah. I actually like sewing too. So that's a good one. Yeah. I think
my son likes to put the pins in Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah. So the next time it goes through that little squish machine, it just comes out and you're like, that doesn't look safe. Yeah. And mine don't even have the little balls in the end, so you can't see them because they're the tiny ones because I was cheap when I bought them. And now I'm like, oh man, why didn't you spend the extra $1.50 for the ones with the things on the end?
Yep.
So, I want Lisa, as we approach, we're at 20 minutes and we can continue to go a little bit, but I was wondering, I was thinking about sharing during your next steps class that you just finished. So I would love if you could talk about next steps. But I know that we kind of talked about self-care a tiny bit in there, and people were talking about things that they do. And so some of the things that definitely came up is some people really enjoy journaling. Yeah. So, being creative is a big outlet. I like to crochet. I cannot not knit. I would love to knit, but I can't do it. Yeah. I can't sew either because I can't cut straight. So I envy you guys. I am completely incapable of straight lines. I recognize that about, I don't know, maybe home ec in high school, and I just gave up. So I envy you guys. But everybody has different, outlets. It's, it could be hiking. It could be, just different things. It can be biking. It can be journaling. It can be reading. And so I wanted, anyway, that I reminded me of this, and it reminded me of next steps. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about next steps. Yeah. We are on Facebook Live, so we have about 7 people there. So you get a good group to sell to, I guess.
So next steps is our 8-week intensive parent training course. And I really think of it as kind of special education for parents, like 101. Like we cover the laws, we cover thinking about your children as more than a diagnosis. We cover transition, we do mock PPTs. Often we haven't figured out how to do those virtually. But it's such an incredible, and reading your IEP and understanding what each page and what everything on each page means. Because I was a teacher for 10 years prior to being a parent consultant. And when my son got his first IEP, there were still parts of it that I just made believe I knew what I was talking about in. Now I know all of it because I took Next Steps. I'm now the coordinator for it. We do 2 or 3 a year. The one that we had scheduled for the spring was supposed to be held in Bristol. obviously went to virtual, and it ended up being really, really positive. We had about 19 people registered, and 12 or so people came every week for the 8 weeks, for the most part. We do plan on hosting one starting around the second week in June. And we're going to do it virtually. And it's a great thing because you get to talk to parents, you get to learn more about how to advocate for your children effectively, talking about effective communication, not going in and demanding things and banging your hands on anything. And it's just such a strong, empowering 8 weeks, and it's quick. And I think we're going to make it into 6 weeks, because we're going to do 2 nights a week and just kind of bang it out, get the same amount of time in there, the same amount of information, and really focus on how to help families in the COVID time, but more so in all the rest of their child's needs throughout the public school. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. If you go to CPAC, you can email me. My name is Lisa Opert. You'll find all our emails, or you can just do the cpacinc.org email. That'll just kind of go to our general email. But we'd love to have as many people participate virtually starting next month as possible. It's a really, really dynamic program. And what's really kind of great about it is most of our parent consultants, if not all of them, started out taking the program. So that's really where we got a lot of information to kind of jumpstart this career that we've fallen into, many of us, because we were doing it, prior to actually working for CPAC. We were helping other families, and now we just kind of do it officially. So if you guys are interested, we'd love to have you. And the best part about it is completely free. Like, it's a totally free training, and many people talk about how incredible it was. And it's nice because everybody there gets it. You're not going to a program where people are going to look at you like, oh, you couldn't make it because your kid was having a bad day. And you're like, no, I couldn't make it because my kid wasn't having a bad day. And you're like, ugh, yeah, those are the worst. All right, I'll send you all the information you need. So it's like a loving, supportive environment. You get to meet other parents often in your community. So it's a great program. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. The other thing we'd love to hear is if you have any ideas for topics. The Thursdays that are now at 3:00, this time right here, they are going to be more of an open forum of discussion, but we'd like to have topics to discuss, what it's about. Kind of like a backup. So our main thing will be, how's everybody doing? Is there anything that we really want to talk about that's pressing? Because our lives are ever changing, and right now everything is changing daily around us. So that's what these calls will be about, although again, we'll have some sort of topic if needed. On Tuesdays, our outreach calls are moving from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we think that this is a little easier for families to be able to. Good, I see Hetchy's so good.
I think it's a good time because I think not everybody's kind of finished with school, and if they're not actually finished with school, they're kind of finished with school for the day.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah. 10 o'clock is like a hard time because that's when we're actually really doing the schoolwork.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's before the email that got sent that says, I give up. Yeah. Done for the day. Yeah. So we figured, so Tuesdays are going to move to 3 p.m. to make it easier on families as well. So we hope you'll join us. We will have a schedule coming out soon. And just a reminder that Spanish has a outreach support group every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 2. And then on Wednesdays at 4 p.m., they have a guest speaker and things like that, a specific training that are offered in Spanish. So other than that, I hope if anybody doesn't have any last comments, and I'll switch over to Facebook again real quick, but I don't think so. And hope to see everybody on Tuesday. I wish I could tell you the topic right now, but we are working on that, but it will be coming out soon. But hopefully we'll see you Tuesday and hopefully Thursday as well. So everybody have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Take some time for yourselves. I'm going to go hopefully sit on my couch and do nothing when they finish the bike ride. So,
Perfect.
Mary, enjoy the time outside. Maybe I'll go outside.
Yeah.
We'll
It's
see.
quieter out here. That's why I came outside. My house is too loud.
Oh, it's so loud.
Exactly.
So much loud. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.
All right. Bye.